Hey, read through the word. Today is December 4th. And today's lesson, I just decided right before I started recording, I hadn't named it yet. I was running through, and it really is be willing to listen. I think that's where we need to be with this. So yesterday we talked about Felix, and I said today we would talk about Festus and Agrippa. So Felix, Festus, Agrippa. Felix, Festus, Agrippa. Felix, Roman governor. Festus, the next Roman governor. Agrippa, king of the Jews. So what we're looking at, and we'll talk a little bit more about him. So you're like, wow, that sounds familiar, Lisa. Like king of the Jews. Yes. So we'll talk about it. Verse we're looking at today is chapter 26, verse 32, that says, "And Agrippa said to Festus, he could have been set free, and if he hadn't appealed to Caesar." So, here we are. Now, Paul has been in custody with some liberties for the past 2 years, and his friends had taken care of him. So remember when Felix put him away, he said, really, don't lock him down, give him some freedom, and let his friends take care of his needs. So his friends came to visit. They brought him stuff. He could come and go around the area. If you ever look at Caesarea, at the old ruins and everything, you'll get an idea of where he was. So, now, remember, Festus was trying to win favor with the Jews. Felix had been trying to win favor for the Jews, so everybody's going to try to win favor with the Jews. This is the story here. Felix had tried to win favor with the Jews and put him away for 2 years. Well, then, remember, Felix messed up and he lost his spot in 60 AD. So then, Porcius Festus is the new Roman governor that followed Felix. So after Felix, Roman governor, comes Festus, Roman governor, and he is put down. Now, Festus is wanting to butter up to the Jews as well, because he's Roman. He's a Roman governor and has been put in power by Rome. So he wants the people that he's over to be cooperative with him. See, all of this should sound familiar about what was going on during the crucifixion of Jesus, with back and forth, back and forth. They're going to do this with Paul. So, he was trying to win favor with the Jews and wanted Paul brought to Jerusalem. So, Festus is in Jerusalem, and people come up to him and say, that Paul guy, now that you're governor, you need to do something about him, because he's causing trouble. And he's just been sitting up there in prison under Felix for these 2 years, and we need him dealt with. And Festus says, okay, well, if I bring the trial here to Jerusalem, this can go good for me. I'll look good to them. Let's do it. And Paul's like, oh, no way. You take me to Jerusalem? That's not where I'm supposed to end up. I'm supposed to end up in Rome. I'm not supposed to be back in Jerusalem. I go back to Jerusalem. If you don't get me, the Jews will kill me. So he says, by the way, I am a Roman citizen, and I can have a trial by Caesar. I want it. I want the trial by Caesar. And so Festus is like, okay, well, let's see what's going on. So now, Caesar, because of, number one, if you're not the world history nerd like me, most people think Caesar's a name, which it starts out as a name, but it becomes a title later, but Julius Caesar but when we're talking the Caesar means the king, the head of the Roman Empire. At this point in time, the Caesar is of the Caesar family. His name is Nero Caesar. Yes, that Nero. So, but this is before that Nero becomes that Nero. This Nero comes to power in 54 AD to about 54 to 68 AD, or the time he's in power. And the first few years, for probably about, let's see, how many years is that? 14, probably about half of his time, the first half of it, he's not, he's peaceful. He's not the person that blames the Christians for everything yet. What Paul says is, okay, Festus, you're not taking me back to Jerusalem. I'm going to Caesar. I appeal to Caesar. One of the things, as a Roman citizen, you have a right to a fair trial, but you also have the right to be heard by Caesar. So, here's the thing. Festus does not know what to charge him with, because he's not broken any Roman laws. Remember, Roman governor. He's not broken any Roman laws. So, it just so happens, so he's like, okay, I'll come back up to Caesarea. So Festus goes to Caesarea, and who happens to visit? The Jewish king. King Agrippa II visited Caesarea. Now, here we go with King Agrippa II. I mentioned yesterday King Agrippa I, but here's the other part of their family name, Herod. This is King Herod Agrippa II. He is the great-grandson of Herod the Great and the brother of Agrippa I. So, King Herod the Great, that was king when Jesus was born. See? Oh, holy night. Okay, so when Jesus was born was when King Herod, who we call Herod the Great. The Herod that is king when Jesus is crucified is in the family line, but is not Herod the Great. So sometimes we get confused with all these names that sound the same, so I'm trying to help. So we need to draw it out and draw the family charts of the Herods. Oh, dear heavens. It doesn't branch a lot. Maybe crisscrosses quite a bit. So Festus doesn't know what to charge Paul with to send him to Caesar. And he says, oh, okay, Jewish King Herod. Herod Agrippa II. You can help me decide what to charge him with. Because I don't know we're going to send him to Caesar. I can't send him without a charge. I don't know what we're sending him for. So, Festus asks Agrippa, listen to him. I want you to listen to him. And you tell me what we need to charge him with. And so he's like, okay, we'll do that. So Paul testifies before the king of the 3 trials. So there's the trial with Felix we talked about yesterday. In between Felix and Agrippa is where he talks to Festus. And of the 3, this one with Agrippa is the one he gives the most detailed explanation of the gospel. Why? Paul knows his audience. He knows, actually, Agrippa II is known for being a devout Jew. He's a king that has an extensive knowledge of Jewish belief, and Paul even appeals to his beliefs and the idea that Paul knows him to be a devout man. And so he is able to connect with him with the gospel because of their mutual understanding of Jewish law. And so Agrippa's like, yeah, I'm going to put out. So at the end, Paul basically presses him for a decision. The truth has been laid out before you. What do you decide? And Agrippa's like, yeah, I'm not quite ready. Now, there's some scholarly debate as to what that conversation means. In a short time, you would have made me believe whether that meant you think I'd fall for something that quickly, or you've almost got me, or where we are in that conversation. So I'll tell you, that's a good one to flesh out some more and look in your study Bible and to look at a little bit more. But Paul says, he's like, here's the thing. I want all people to trust Christ. I want all people to I love this because he says, I want all people to be like me, except for these chains. The chains, not so much, but I want everybody to believe in Christ. That's what I want. And so that's where it ends. And here's the thing, the last verse in that chapter, and the last thing they say is, here's the thing. Festus is like, he hadn't done anything wrong. And Agrippa says, he hadn't done anything wrong. Except and we've already told Nero he's coming. We have to send him, or Nero will come after us for getting in the way of him giving a trial. We got to send him. Had he not appealed to Caesar, we would let him go. Agrippa said, I would have let him go, but he appealed to Caesar. So off to Rome he will go. And they send him off to Rome. And then we'll pick up in the next chapter. Okay, so be willing to listen. That's what I said this lesson is. Because I want you to see this. Of the 3 trials that are here, now the gospel does not change. The method never changes. The message never changes. The method does. He knows who he is speaking to. He knows what he believes. And so he presents the gospel in a way that will connect to where the listener is. Where Agrippa is and what he knows Agrippa to believe. He explains the gospel in a way that a believer, a Jew, such as Paul used to be, could understand. And like yesterday, I said, tell your story. Tell the story, the gospel, how God has changed you, what committing your life to Christ looks like. And here is, we are all, now I tell my students at school, I tell my kids here in my home, we're all missionaries. All of us. So we all think missionaries are those who are called to go off to the foreign mission field. I grew up Southern Baptist, studying all the missionaries that were sent off by the IMB and then home missionaries, the North American Mission Board. And I grew up learning all of that. And my idea with missions was people who went across the world, foreign missions. We're all called to be missionaries, to take the gospel to the ends of the earth. The ends of the earth might be our backyard. It might be the children in our own home. It might be children I have influence in my classroom. Might be people influence in your room. But here's the thing. Be willing to listen. Paul was willing to have the conversations, so he knew how to talk to people. My pastor says this, that we get so frustrated with people when they ask questions, and the questions that bother us because we're confident in our faith. And he said, we automatically want to lash out at people. We how can you not believe the gospel? How can you not? So what we need to be listening for is when people ask us questions about the gospel, about our faith, about Jesus, that have questions about, is the Bible true? Was Jesus a real person? Instead of wanting to automatically be right and shove things at people, listen to hear what the real question is. Because usually why are they asking the question the way they are? Because this conversation with Agrippa, there's more to that because Paul pushes him off. Because, Agrippa pushes Paul off. And there's a conversation there that Paul is able to have with him that no one else would have. And I think in our zeal to be right, we stopped listening. We need to listen to people around us. Because the gospel is going to be presented to people in conversations just like this. It's not always going to be knocking on a door. It's not always going to be a pastor in the pulpit. It's going to be a conversation with your neighbor across the fence. It's going to be a conversation at a coffee shop. But we need to be willing to listen and let the Holy Spirit guide us into the conversation, just like we saw him do with Paul. So we'll see you next time on Read Through the Word.